Hi there, guys. It's Eline. My name is Eline, Eugenie, or Eugenie, as I've been called. Most people just call me Eline. I live in the Netherlands. I'm married, have been married for 34 years almost, and have a cat and a house and a yard that I enjoy very much. I'm very much a nature loving person. I do all sorts of creative and crafty things, which you will see on my channel if you, you know, like to see me do crafty things. I do a lot of spinning and knitting at the moment. It tends to vary a lot. I'm also very much a student of the occult. I have a number of tarot and other decks that I have either worked on myself in the sense that I print out images and make a kind of a card deck out of that, or I have bought them just like everybody else does. I have a tendency to favor older style Marseille or older style decks because that's what I feel comfortable with basically. I have used a lot of more modern style decks like, for example, the Sasrabito or the Mary El Tarot as well, just to, get more acquainted with the whole field and with what everybody was talking about. Besides tarot and cards, I'm also very much into astrology. I've been using and working with astrology for a lot of years now. I keep discovering new things. It's been a blessing, really, because of my background. I come from a rather problematic background. I was watching earlier today. I was watching, I think it was on the BBC UK news, newspaper website, where they showed videos. They showed a video about showing people who were adoptees, basically, taken from their native families and basically deported as kids to somewhere else on the globe and raised there by like foster families with, all the attendant problems. As I was watching that, I felt more or less like shocked, which is what I tend to have because I don't normally expect that kind of reaction from myself, because I realized that I have felt quite a number, and I'm supposing I'm also not the only one. I have felt that way, the way they were describing for themselves, those people, what it was like to be, yanked out of your comfortable context and displaced somewhere else. They were talking about dissociation and estrangement and all that type of thing. And I have had what my background's been like is that it has been estrangement within my own family to a large extent. So I've had to go through all sorts of stuff. Some of it was problematic or violent to some extent. A lot of the time the violence wasn't directed at me but at somebody else. And my life, my growing up was basically chopped up into all sorts of sections with different people and with fewer and fewer relatives in close proximity to me, and I was left with only my mum basically. So there's a lot of material that comes on my channel that comes out of that context that I've, especially in 2020, been working on using either tarot or astrology or both or anything I can get my hands on basically to sorry for saying basically all the time. It's one of those words that just comes out, I've been doing a lot of investigating to map out, the what's really going on, how things that happened 50 years ago, basically, there you have that word again. I'll try not to say it again. Affect me still, affect how I behave, how I react, and so there's quite a bit of psychology in there as well. It has to do with mechanisms that once you really get to know them, once you really get to see and be clear-headed and honest with yourself about how you feel in particular types of context, and that's the longest part of this whole trip really, is getting to the authenticity, getting to be straight with yourself. But once you got there, there's often a liberation, I find, and it's possible to feel liberated and to become free, or at least 3/4 of the way free of our programming, of all the things that burden us quite a bit. And so I find it very worthwhile to share. I still love to vlog. I also, at this moment that I'm recording this, we have just entered a new phase of lockdown in the Netherlands where I live, and so it's maybe a bit slightly less happy and perky than I tend to be, or than I want to be, but that's the reason why. I think it's just been a whole long year, and there's lots of opinions about how clever it is to do this lockdown, and to what an extent, and whether people should wear face masks or not, and all this back and forth. It drives everybody more or less up the wall, I think. And it's affecting everybody. It's also affecting me. I tend to stay inside the house even more than normal. I am a stay-at-home person. I don't work outside the house because of the traumatic past and the things. I just react way too strongly and way too emotionally to people, and you just can't. You just can't. Okay, so I have worked outside the house for a period of 11 years. I was a sales representative. It was a lot of fun, and I did a lot of discovering of basic chunks of problematic territory for myself during those 11 years, but I was only able to analyze them and sort of separate out all the strata of, pain and things after that. So, because as long as you're working, I find you're running around and you're doing whatever needs doing at that moment, right? So that just takes the front seat. So hence my ideal, more or less perfectly ideal situation for me at the moment is being home, reading, working with cards, writing. Even recently this year I felt great support from my own writing exercise, where I, rather than telling my story to the camera, I write it down. It's a different mode of operation. You really get the possibility of going back and forth through time, paging back and forth, so things kind of fall together even more. What else can I say? I've wanted to make this kind of an introductory little video. I hope it helps. I hope it makes sense to show you, or to tell you who it is that I am, what brought me here. I started YouTube, I think 3 years and a bit ago, maybe 4 by now. If you go to my channel, if you got here, so you got to my channel, right? You will see there's endless loads of videos. I like to do endless long witchy check-in videos, where it's more or less a more elaborate session of what it is that I'm doing right now, but more as things are at that moment. And a lot of it is vibrations and atmospheres and moods and stuff like that, or projects, creative projects or otherwise. Another thing is that a lot of my recent vlogging material has been about Tibetan Kundalini yoga practice, meditation practice that I've been working on very, very passionately and with a lot of commitment, and that's the Tumo part of my channel. So you'll find playlists about that, introducing the subject, the hows and the whys and all that. And as you come here, you will you will find out how this all works. And I am a Westerner myself. I am from completely Caucasian descent. I have had quite a number of really weird experiences, which I think are the best part of my life, really. And the result of that is that I try to be as open-minded as I can about anything. And I try to be compassionate and to be understanding in all sorts of contexts. I don't think there's anything to be gained by, blocking things out necessarily. Unless you have no choice, of course, which still may happen. So, what with the Kundalini Yoga, the Tummo practice recently, I have felt that really works for me really well. It does take up quite a bit of time. You have to be really committed before anything really happens. So if that is something that really appeals to you and you just keep coming back to it, then you should really look into it. But be aware that it is very much a long-term process. However, it is utterly beneficial. I find myself very healthy, very strong, very also emotionally aware and more capable of really dealing with everything inside me without needing to ever, without needing anybody else, basically, except for the people I'm really connected to. So I am fairly spiritually independent, I think, which is a big plus as far as I'm concerned. So I think I will just leave it at this in terms of my introductory little video. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for watching and listening to me talk. Let me invite you to all the goodies here, because there's something for everybody here. Thank you and see you soon. Okay, bye for now.